Welcome to Two Sisters Podcast with your hosts, Kristy and Melissa, who are real sisters bringing you real talk about life and faith through humor, insight, and community. Now, let's get into this week's episode.
What's up, guys? It's Melissa
and Kristy,
and welcome to Two Sisters Podcast. So today, we want to entitle this episode, It Begins With You. And in honesty and transparency, we all know that whenever we are doing like self-evaluation, self-reflection, whatever word you want to use, when you basically looking in the mirror at yourself, it can be hard to, first of all, admit sometimes when you're wrong, sometimes ego get in the way, sometimes pride, what have you, but in order to develop and grow and mature, operative word there, is that, you need to look at what you are doing. And we've been talking a lot about accountability. It's still in the same vein as accountability, like you being accountable for you and what you do and what you say and what's in your heart, your intentions, and what you don't do and what you don't say. And then, how you can basically be a better human by rectifying things that you know that you've done wrong, or that you thought you made a mistake and misjudged, or whatever. Like, just being better and just doing what's necessary to make yourself better, to be able to articulate your feelings, to be able to communicate maturely. That takes work. So again, this whole season is about that, and just being better. And so, we came up with the title, It Begins With You, because it does. And like we said before, we're not saying that certain things that's out of our control, like your environment and basically who you're born to, who is your family, like all of that. That's not what we're saying. It's in spite of those things. It's all about how you think, and not only about how you think, but how you process things. That's where it becomes a little bit tilted, because if your filter is off, all right, if you are filtering through a toxic heart, if you are filtering through a jaded lens because you've been wronged, or you perceive that you've been wronged, then your intentions, your motives, your lashing out, your communication, your tone, it can all have that venom in it. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of what we want to talk about. We want to touch on those things. All right. So today's title, that long introduction, was basically how and why we came up with this title. It Begins With You. And who knows, it may be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 part series. Okay, because the whole point of this podcast is for us to help those that we are supposed to help. All right. So I just wanted to talk about this. And like I said, it's hard work to be honest with yourself. And that's where it begins. It begins with you being honest, being accountable for your actions and reactions. And, my thing is, how can you be open, honest, truthful with others when you're not honest with yourself? Like, you start that whole process. If you're not honest with yourself, to me, you can't be honest with other people. Period. If you're if you can lie to yourself and tell yourself stories and tell yourself what makes you feel good and all of that, and justify your ill intentions, because it's uncomfortable or it doesn't feel well or feel good, then you surely, most definitely, can do that to other people. And that's the problem. That is the problem.
So give us an example.
So I want to. I was just about to ask you, did you have anything?
Oh, I do. I do.
Okay.
Have an example?
Before you give us the example, what I want to do is go over our definition. We're going to talk about this. Like the main premise of this, it begins with you, is to basically understand. Like I said, you can't control your environment and situations and all of that circumstances. You also can't control other people and what they do. You cannot. Oh, she done brought out the hymn. You can't control people. You can't control what other people do. You can't control what other people say. So, but what we want to focus in on and hone in on is how to respond to how people treat you. So it's not about what they're saying or what they're doing. It's how to respond to how they are treating you. And remember, it's dealing with you and them. So it's two different perceptions. All right. We're talking about and focusing in on you. Okay. So with that being said, we want to just give you a real basic definition just so that we can hone in on our points. All right. So to us, a response is considered, thought out, which means you're thinking it through. Okay. You paused, you stopped, and you took time to think stuff through before you react and respond. Okay. So it's considered, thought out. Whereas a reaction is more based on emotion. And it's more based on emotion. So in that instance of whatever happened, you react instead of thinking it through. So that's literally the real basic general definition for this purpose of this this lesson or podcast or this episode. Okay, response, consider, thought out. Reaction is more based on the emotion. Okay, so Kristy, you was about to say something?
No, I was just asking like examples of what you were saying as far as like you can't expect honesty from others or fault people for not being honest with you when you are not being honest with yourself. So I was like, what would examples of that be?
Well, technically what I said was you can't be honest with other people if you're not honest with yourself. So what I'm saying is what I am drawing the attention to is yourself. You can't, to me, in my opinion, is that it's hard for you to be truthful to other people when you're not truthful to yourself. So real basic general example would be like, for me, let's just say that, so for me as a child, I was bullied literally from the age of 4. So that kind of jaded or tainted, or it tried to taint my perception of myself. Like the other kids picking on me or calling me names. I was darker, my hair was longer. For some reason my hair was an issue to other people growing up. I don't know why. But my hair, my skin, when I was younger, it was a big thing. And plus, you know, I wasn't stupid either. I wasn't slow. So being smart, dark, with long hair, I wasn't supposed to have long, I don't know, hair down my back at being dark as I was, I suppose. I don't know. But be, because that happened to me, I had to basically, I learned early how to navigate through what was being said, how I felt, and then how I was being spoken to at home. Literally, like I learned this lesson early. Like, learned that what's false and what's true, what's not. So if I went with them, like I would, that at 4 years old, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 9 years old, that kind of mess with your psyche about how you should feel, how you look. Dark skin wasn't basically a popular thing, right? So looking at myself in the mirror, I like in the beginning, initially, it was like, oh, I'm not pretty because I'm dark skinned, okay, or I'm not supposed to be as smart as I am because I didn't even have a reason, and my hair is not supposed to be down my back. Like my hair is supposed to be kinky or whatever.
So
So
you had to balance what you said home versus
home,
what you
yes,
got
at
out in the
home I
world.
was princess, I was a
Right.
star, I was called beautiful, I was called smart, and I could be anything I wanted to be. And so that was the titter totter. Is like I'm being fed this information that I am not what other people is seeing of me or how they see me. So I'm in the middle of this and I have to decide what I'm telling myself. And I literally believe that's how it begins. Like you have to decide what you're feeding yourself. So if I chose to believe the environment that I was in, okay, then I can continue to lash out. I can continue to make excuses to be this mean, dark, black, ugly girl that ain't got no common sense whatsoever just because I was told that I was that. Or I can believe that I do matter, that none of that has anything to do with my ability to learn and to basically regurgitate what I've learned. If the teacher teach me something, I can be free to express that I've learned what is being taught to me. So there's nothing wrong with me and my comprehension. So, and that probably was a very complex example, but that's to me how I feel like it begins. Like things in your external environment can help it can assist you in conforming to what they are saying, and then you start to believe that. So it's like right there in that moment you have to make the decision of what you're going to believe and what lies you're going to tell yourself. And whatever you believe within your heart and in your mind, that's what's going to basically filter out your mouth, your heart, whatever. So for me, that's an example to me, as far as what it is, what lies can you tell yourself, and then you basically can't be truthful with others. And so to me, because that made me shy, that made me very timid, that made me not want to express how I felt being picked on. It made me feel like I couldn't say how I felt. So I allowed people to do or say or do whatever they want to me, at a very young age, up until like middle school or whatever. So I would just say yes, or just to please other people. I would say whatever they wanted me to say, do whatever they wanted me to do. And just because I wanted to fit in, I just wanted to be part of the in crowd, or be not even in. I didn't even have to be with the real popular kids. I just wanted to be accepted. Period. So I just basically agreed, and that's a lie. To me, that's the most general way I can explain that you're lying to. You can't be truthful to yourself, then you're going to not be truthful to other people. All right. So I just allowed or just accepted what was told to me, even though I had a difference of opinion. And even though I'm using that example as a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10-year old, it still happens to 40, 50, and 60, and 70, 80, and 100-year olds. Like you're still appeasing people because of uncomfortableness. Okay, so Kristy, I've been talking this whole time. Do you have anything you want to add to this conversation?
So you're saying like you have to be authentically you at any stage, whether it's early or late. Like if people tell you lies, you have to find the strength within yourself to believe the truth, and thereby then being your authentic or true self.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got you. My take um, is I was the title is
It begins with you.
it begins with you.
Mm-hmm.
My thought processes was totally different.
Yeah.
So, and that is, my example would be, um, my example would be like the first thing that popped up as an example for me would be like being in a relationship, like a romantic relationship, and how I expected my partner, and sometimes people get it twisted, so let me be clear.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
My man, at the time,
Mm-hmm.
like when he would lie to me, it would just upset me so much, right? And I had this ongoing narrative or story, had, if you will, that he was wrong and he was the wrong one and he was the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if it begins with me, right, when I started to look at my actions and take responsibility for why I was there,
Mm-hmm.
why am I with a liar?
Right.
Like, this ain't, if someone's consistently lying to you, does that not make them a liar, right? And we have to be careful because the Bible says something like, be careful who you call names,
Mm-hmm.
various names.
Mm-hmm.
So let me state this. When he would lie consistently, I don't know if that's technically, if you can call him a liar or not, but that hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
But I got to a point where I had to realize I was lying to my whole self
Mm-hmm.
first,
Exactly.
right? Because I'm unhappy in this particular relationship because this man is exhibiting these negative traits that then affect me negatively, right? Emotionally, right?
Mm-hmm.
As well as spiritually. It's a whole nother ballgame.
Right.
And so when we discussed this title, which she's so generous, guys. She keeps saying we came up with. We were thinking this as we came together. No, she thought about this title. Okay, this is why we have two different perspectives on the title. so, um, so yes, I'm faulting him for having these negative traits and then affecting me negatively. However, if I'm to look at myself, then I was lying to myself because I was lying to myself about what I wanted in a relationship. Like, there were several things I was not getting in the relationship that I know I wanted that I ignored. And I lied to myself saying it was okay for me to be in this situation. Like, I excused it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having excuses in my particular situation was lying to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not okay with this particular behavior. I'm not okay with this particular behavior. This doesn't sit right with me. You name whatever that is for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm being general, because it doesn't have to be specific. So ultimately, I had to take responsibility and be true to myself and stop lying to myself about we're on two different planes here.
Mm-hmm.
Your definition of what's a successful relationship, meaning the person I was with at the time, his definition of what a successful relationship looks like and how people behave in a healthy, successful relationship was polar opposite of what I believed a healthy relationship was, or a successful relationship was. And ultimately, that is what broke us up and severed the relationship ultimately,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because there's no way that he can be him. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. And there's no way that I can be me.
Right.
Right? Successfully and peacefully together.
Right.
Right? Throw out a Bible verse because it came to my mind. Unless two agree, how can they walk together?
Uh-huh.
This was consistently a problem for me. That verse right there. Consistently. Because, again, we had two different ideals, right? So how can we truly walk together? And we didn't. It was chaotic. It was very, very stressful, right? And there was less moments of peace than peaceful moments. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's what came to mind when Melissa came up with this title. It begins with me, right?
Yes.
It begins with you.
It begins
And
with
so,
you. Yes.
but you can take it out to any arena, right? In your life, whether that's career, whether that's your friendships, whether that is your romantic partnership, whether that is your financial goals or status. Like, it begins with you, and not lying to yourself, or not allowing, as Melissa's point of view was, accepting other people's lies as your truth. Right? Either one doesn't work for you. And we probably will need a part 2, because we really didn't go in depth with the reaction versus response.
No, that's
so
right. So
obviously that's gonna be part 2.
Yeah, apparently I knew it was gonna be another part. So to wrap this up again, like I said, I don't want to draw it out, but just consider the things that we said in the examples that we're saying here about response versus reaction. And again, remember how we can't control, and people know this. It's nothing we're saying nothing that you don't know. But sometimes some people need help in how to respond instead of reacting, when all they know is how to react. So it's like, how to respond to how people treat us. The first thing, like I said, is for you to understand that the part you are responsible for, is your response to them, how they're treating you. So we're going to wrap up with, basically, again, it begins with you and how you process what's happening to you. And remembering that, like, just basically taking a step back and just pausing to respond versus react to what they're doing.
And I have another scripture that pops up, and we will go into depth with this on the next episode. But there's a passage in Psalms that says, I have great peace because I love God's law, and nothing offends me.
Nothing offends me. I think you brought that up in a whole nother last season.
Because it got to be part of my life.
Because honestly, for real, guys, like, I mean, to be, especially in this time we're living in, to be a mature, responsible adult that's mature, I can't keep saying that word enough, and, just being a kind human being that can coexist with other humans, where, everybody don't think the same, feel the same. So, and we understand that. So you have to learn how not to allow things and people to offend you, period. And to be able to communicate effectively. And so that's one of the things I wrote down, and I'll write this down, and we're going to end here, and we'll pick this right on back up next episode. We want to talk more about in the next episode. Again, we want to dive deeper into the response versus reaction, and drill in and drill down on, we can't control people, but we can control how to respond to how people treat us. So we will need to probably give more examples of that. And just saying that the other thing that we'll cover is, why is it important how you respond? And the bottom line to that, again, I've been saying the word, what's the word? Maturity. How to effectively and maturely communicate. Period. So that's it, guys. We're ending here. Again, thank you so much for your support, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Two Sisters podcast, where we hope to encourage you on your journey of transformation and healing while having fun along the way. Follow us on IG and Twitter. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. It's available on all major podcast providers. Just search for Two Sisters Podcast. Till next time.